I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listen Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the Black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% Black all the time. Please follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Man Listen Show. You can subscribe to the show on YouTube. Click that bell icon so you can be notified when a new show drops. Make sure you go to our IG, the link in the bio. You can get merchandise. We got all kind of shirts and hoodies. It's starting to get cold out there. It's probably already cold where some of y'all are at. Get you a hoodie. If you want to support the show, you can click our Cash App. Just let us know. We got about 385 followers. We need to get to at least 400 before the end of the year. I want to get to 5, but let's get us to at least 400. But with that being said, please let everybody know about the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listen Show. I'm your host, Mar B. Let's bring the crew in. All right, just me and Arika today. Shout out to C, shout out to Laugh. So, Puff. I still call him Puffy. I call him Puff. I call him Puffy. You know, I don't call him P. Diddy or Diddy or anything.
Okay, his mama called him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay.
I call him Puff. Mom call him Puff. I'm gonna call him Puff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's been in the news lately. Recently, you know, this guy came out and said that Puffy had hired him and another gentleman to murder Tupac allegedly, right? But in more salacious, scandalous, heartbreaking news, Cassie, former Bad Boy artist, I don't know if she's still on Bad Boy or not. We'll talk about it. But former Bad Boy artist, former love interest, Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, she filed a civil suit against Puffy. There was a 30-page court document that was released to the public, and the details were horrific. And she put out this civil suit, and I think it was less than 24 hours. I think some people said like 18 hours, it was settled. Now, you know, Puff, to his defense, said, hey, listen, things are settled. I wish the best for her and her family in the future. And he's been kind of mum about it. But since this court document, this civil suit was filed, people have been coming out the woodworks with different things about how Puff has handled people in the past. And he's always had people look at him funny style from the way he handled his artists in terms of, you know, sharing revenues on their publishing and their masters. It was the whole Shine case. Remember when him and Shine and J-Lo was at the club, and then Shine went to jail and Puff didn't. So people have been looking at Puffy funny style for a lot of things. This right here seems to be particularly damning. And I don't personally know how Puff is going to recover from this. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. But, and let me say, trigger warning. There's some deep stuff that was in that court document. So, you know, definitely want to put that out there. But Arika, what were your thoughts when you read the document when you first heard the news?
When I first heard the news, I was like, where did this come from? It just seemed to come out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden, like you said, other people started coming out of nowhere, and you could see the support and the people saying, yeah, you know, good for her. And then they started talking about how her husband had ran like 18 miles or something for domestic violence. So it's like, maybe a whole lot of people know about this that we didn't really know about it. So, you know, true to form, especially as an attorney, everybody lies. It's just got to get to some version of the truth somewhere in the middle. So I normally just wait on the sidelines and let everything come to light. But when that case was settled, and before I really cracked my eyes the next day, I was like, oh, he did that shit. He did it. And whatever it is she said, He did it. I
So,
was like, I ain't never had a case settle in under 24 hours. Bruh, do you know how well written that complaint was? It was like, I mean, even if you
they
own
told a story with that.
man.
They built it up from how he got her to
Mhm,
allegedly how he got her to
mhm,
how he entrapped her to the end to the horrific end.
mhm.
It that whoever wrote that, whew,
That's
listen,
um I think them starting with the fact that she was only 19 years old and he
he
was
was 37.
37
Yeah,
really highlighted how horrific all of it is because this is somebody's child. My child is 19 years old right now, and there is no way that Puffy would still be walking this earth if somebody had done something like that to my child. Not that I would even be letting my child hang out with no 37-year-old man, but they trying to follow their dreams. You trying to be supportive. It's such a
right.
messy situation when these kids get involved in the music industry or in entertainment in general, but it never seems to work out well. So, I mean, I was heartbroken reading it, heartbroken for her, and just re-traumatized in life. Is definitely the trigger warning that they put at the top is definitely necessary because it's horrific to read.
So when it first came out, I was like you, and I was like, okay, where's this coming from? And I will say, I'm just being 100% candid and honest. People may not like this, but when it first came out, I was kind of like, this sounds like a money grab because people have taken issue with Puffy. You've seen people, they wink, wink, laugh about his parties and the stuff that goes on at his parties. Like there's the gay rumors and different stuff like that. So when it first came out, I was kind of like, I don't know, because to me, whenever you go straight to a civil suit, that to me seems somewhat suspicious. Now I could be wrong with that, and that in my opinion on that, but that's my opinion. Now she filed this under the New York Adult Survivors Act, which Rick and I were talking about that before the show. What the state of New York did was they gave victims who the statute of limitation had lapsed. They basically gave them 1 year from 2022 to 2023, November 2022 to November 2023, to basically file a civil suit. There's no criminal actions that can be put forward, but a civil suit can be filed against the person who allegedly harmed you. I have no issue with that. I take no issue with that. I think that there's always the caveat. Um, it was mixed emotions for me because I feel as if we as black men are targeted disproportionately, but I also feel as if some of the people who were caught up with this deserved to be caught up. And when I read that court document, I had to say that if even an eighth of it was true, that was terrible. If even an eighth of it was true, that was awful. Um, we got to be consistent. We talked about Jada Pinkett Smith, and August Alsina, and I saw a lot of people say, "Well, why did this grown woman stay? Why did she stay?" And as if we don't see women in who aren't in relationships with powerful men stay, right?
Mhm.
Women stay all the time, b when they getting beat on by their man. It happens. We talked about Jada, and the reason why I bring that up is because when I said even though August was an adult, there's still a power dynamic there. That is even more so in effect when we talk about this situation. Number one, she was 19, he was 37. Literally could be her father. Literally could be her father. Close, but still, that age gap, that's almost 2 decades. That there's nothing cool about that. Then when you figure out, okay, not only is she that much younger than you, you're her employer as well. And when I looked at it, she signed a 10 album contract. Did you see that? She signed a
No.
10 album record deal.
Wow.
10 albums. Who does that?
You say I own you.
Basically. And then when you start to see the drugs and then the abuse, it's classic, you know, what an abuser does in terms of separating from people who can talk sense to you and then pumping you full of drugs and then making you do stuff that you don't want to do. I mean, we've seen it in movies and awful movies that go down like this. And Puff clearly has some anger issues. Puff has some maturity issues, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason why you out here dating chicks that's like your son's age. Like, remember, wasn't he like allegedly with
His
Lori?
son's ex-girlfriend,
Yeah,
Lori Harvey.
allegedly he's with Lori Harvey. Like his son was dating Lori Harvey, and then Puff got with her. Like, what kind of mess is that? You know, and I'm gonna keep putting allegedly out there because we ain't got no money if you sue us. But we find out we find our own court cases.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We can't afford another one. But that's true, y'all. But yeah, that suspicion that I had, it went away when I read the documents. And I just can't believe that he didn't settle this before they even got to that case, though, because allegedly he was alleging that they was trying to shake him down beforehand, and then as soon as she released the details, it was gone. If you knew that there was something like that going on, why would you even let that see the light of day? Because there ain't gonna be no coming back from that for Puff. I don't think there is.
I've said it before, I will say it again. Sexual assault and stuff, it's not about sex, it's about power and control. And anybody who has that ego, he really thought he could just punk her and be like, no. And maybe his people didn't know she had a year. Maybe he thought she was gonna run out of time and not get it done. But her lawyer stayed up all night and made that money because that complaint was well written and he should have definitely paid her money. I don't know if they sent him a, hey, I'm about to file this email or not, but he missed that opportunity. And I'm 100% sure it was his ego. And now he's regretting it. But I mean, you know what I mean? Powerful people usually fall the farthest and the hardest because, you know, you start thinking that you can't, you know, lose. You can't be stopped. Nobody can get you. You can't be touched. And then when you do get touched, everybody start coming out the woodworks with their story, they support. And you
Everybody's coming out the woodwork. So like Kid Cudi, apparently Kid Cudi was
confirm.
crushing on Cassie, or Cassie was crushing on him, and Puff blew up his car. Kid Cudi came out and said, "No, that actually did happen. You know, my car did get blown up in front of my house." I don't know how they're gonna tie that to Puff, but
I mean, he told her he was going to do it, so he basically confessed to her. So I mean, it's hearsay; they can't use it in court. That's why, you know.
let's play devil's advocate. Puff has done a lot for the culture, right? In terms of the artists that he has helped put out. He helped, you know, influence my favorite artist, Mary J. Blige, right? He was integral in her career. You know, I'm old school. I'm in my late 40s, you know, so I'm a 90s dude. Jodeci, Father MC, like, you know, Puff was integral, Big, Craig Mack. Puff is integral in a lot of music that we have seen.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it hard to believe all of these like conspiracy theories that are now coming out about Puff. And for those of y'all, when I say Puffy, I'm talking about Diddy. Because I know there's going to be a segment that was like, who are you talking about? When he first came out, he was Sean Puffy Combs. So I never stopped calling him Puff. So, but you know, the people who make these allegations in terms like, okay, Puffy was part of Uptown Records. Uptown Records was huge, right? When they first came out. They said, well, you look at it, Andre Harrell's gone. Heavy D's gone. Kim, Puff's, you know, baby mama, she's gone. Al B. Sure, he was part of Uptown. He was almost out of here. But Puff's the only one. So now there's all these conspiracy theories that are coming out that Puff is this, you know, this Svengali, this Machiavellian guy who is arranging hits on folks. I think it's kind of going too far when it comes to that. Now people are saying like their stories, okay, but when you start saying, all right, Puff is out here doing this, and you know they try to say Puffy was hanging Wale off the balcony like on the 5 Heartbeats, and Wale was like, "What are y'all talking about? That didn't happen."
But in the court documents, that did happen to somebody, so that people was just trying to figure out who it was.
Yeah, but I felt like that happened to like a woman though.
No, he hit her female friend in the face with a hanger.
I saw that part, but I also felt as if the person that, and maybe I, I was kind of skimming through it because it was a little bit long, but I felt as if he was hanging a woman over. Either way, he was hanging a person over the balcony, which ain't cool, right? Yeah, Puff on some old big red like my office hours are 9 to 5 type shit. So that's just ridiculous. But I don't know. You think he's done? Think he's canceled?
I think he's definitely done. I think the thing about it is people had that huge conspiracy theory that he had something to do with Tupac's death. So when you start seeing somebody actually try to link him to it, then it's like, okay, well, maybe these other, random conspiracy theories have some merit. So I think, a little bit of evidence gasses people up to start, looking into more other maybe like tenuous options. But I think that's
I didn't think that the dude that dude that came out was trying to say Puff paid him to, he wasn't credible at all to me. I didn't
either.
What'd
I
you say?
think he was grasping at straws, but I also again don't know because I feel like, maybe he ran out of money and tried to get some more, and Puff was like, no, what are you gonna do? And I think that's the thing about Puff, like you said, people coming out all of a sudden, people don't want to be first. And then it's like, I don't know what Puff is going to do. If he blowing up people cars and hanging people over balconies and killing people's music careers and all this other kind of stuff, like you have no idea what he's going to do. And so it's hard for people to want to be the first one. I think like when people first started coming out about Bill Cosby, the first one we was like, not Bill. And then the second one we was like, man, third, fourth, we was like,
to me, that wasn't it though. To me, it was like, I couldn't believe that Bill Cosby, as powerful as he was, Bill was still a black man.
mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe that Bill was just raping white chicks through all those years and nothing happened. That's where my doubt came on with Bill. Now, I kind of knew Puffy was grimy. We saw Puffy was grimy when they had the making of the band.
Yeah.
Puffy's grimy when they had the making of the band. I was just like, yeah. Well, nothing else. He was just like any other record exec. I don't know who he learned it from or what, but that showed a lot of his grimy ways. And then you think about it, people were saying, hey, Big was about to leave Puff. Big was about to leave Puff. And what really, somebody brought this up. A couple months ago, Puff released the publishing and the masters to all the old Bad Boy artists, right? And a lot of people were like, oh man, he tried to frame it as if I'm giving power back to the artists.
Mm-hmm.
Now peep the move. Now we talked about how good Cassie's lawyer was, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Puff, like, cause this is all shaping up to be like a surviving Sean Puffy Combs deal, right? Because can you remember how stuff started building about, R. Kelly? And it just built. The next thing you know, they had a documentary, Surviving R. Kelly. Next thing you know, he gone, right? Next thing you go. I think the difference is Robert didn't have good attorneys. He ran through his money. Puff got his stuff on point.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was he released the masters. He released the publishing. I don't know if he released the masters. He released the publishing. With the publishing is the writing credits, right? He had all their stuff. So basically, Puff they said they estimated like 48 million off the music. But by now, they're not selling records. They're not selling CDs. They're not selling tapes. It's all streaming, which is, what, 1,000th of a penny for each stream. So the one white girl, I think her name was Aubrey O'Day, she was just like, nah, I don't need it that bad. Because if you took the publishing, you had to sign the NDA.
Oh.
You had to sign the NDA.
Interesting.
You can't say nothing about, and he had in it, you can't say nothing about me. You can't say nothing about any of my companies. You can't say nothing bad about my mama. He literally had his mom in there too. You can't say nothing bad about nothing that I have going on. I'll give it to you.
He's smart.
But you got to sign this NDA.
You ain't giving it to me.
Makes me think that Puff
told it to me.
Yeah, Puff. I think he's gone. I don't know, because people still listen to R. Kelly. I also listen to R. Kelly, and let me tell you something. I'm gonna still listen to Big. I'm still gonna listen. Can't nobody hold. I'm gonna still be doing the dance like Puff. I'm gonna still be doing. Take that. Yo, I know you want to see what we got to say next, but if you want to add right here, hit us up on our DM on Instagram. I'm still doing all that, but he's still a creep,
Yeah, sure.
I knew he was a creep when he was about to put out a movie, Arika. Puff released a trailer like last week, and it reminded me of some like Queen and Slim type thing. Like he meets this chick, and then all of a sudden they're on the run for the police, and the young woman who's the lead looks eerily like Kim. But Puff, because Puff older than me. I'm what, 46? So Puff got to be like 56, 55, 54, something like that. And his shit jet black. He got the Beijing on lock. Puff beard, hair is jet black, right? He in his mid 50s. That come on, bro. But he had himself playing the lead opposite of this young lady. And I'm like, bro, your son look just like you. Why don't you just have your son play the role, dog?
Right.
But it's a power thing, like you said.
Sure. Yeah, he's definitely a creep. I didn't know about the movie, and then why would you even want to put yourself in that spot with somebody who looks like Kim? Like that wasn't. And then I recently learned that she was like upset with Puff because I guess Michael Jackson wanted to work with her and he never told her. I was like, so she must not have signed either because she had some things to say, or maybe she said that before and
People
it just
people are
surfaced.
putting it out there. They're like, hey, listen, everybody's gone except for Puff.
Mm-hmm.
He got this relationship with Young Miami. Hopefully he's not, beating on her or anything like that.
Yeah, she don't seem like she seemed like she would come back with her cousins.
Right. Plus, we got to say, what did it say that Puff first met Cassie when it was like 04 or 05 or 06, something like that?
I think
Early
so.
2000s. So we had the internet, but social media wasn't like
Like
it
it.
is today, where like the blog, then the blogs weren't like, we had national, what's the one, what's the one we said, like if they say somebody died, it's true. TMZ. We
Yeah.
had we had TMZ, but TMZ was considered like, like trash journalism. Now
Uh-huh.
TMZ got a little bit of credit.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, people are like, hey, TMZ, hey, we waiting on TMZ to report it. If TMZ reported, it's true. Because,
Yeah,
they roll. TMZ was like, such and such dead. And they was like, nah, we ain't confirmed. They was like, nah, yeah. Because TMZ cut them checks.
yeah.
They say, hey, listen, are you an orderly at the hospital? If you see some, call us.
Call us. Call us. Send us a little text message.
But
Like,
like the way the blogs are now, they on it. Like the blogs would be like, oh, such and such as we're dating. They just unfollowed each other. So that must mean that there's trouble. And I'm like, damn, y'all really invested
yeah, like that.
in a life like that? But the only reason why I bring that up is if Young Miami show up with a bruise on her face or something like that, the way these people be watching these celebrities, it's gonna be on.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
I
on.
think too, it's a lot like you said, not as much access to celebrities as we have now. And two, it's a lot harder for people to hide because we got cameras everywhere. I mean, if you can catch Jay-Z and Beyonce fighting, you can do anything. Because it's hard to catch people who really have their security and their privacy on lock, who have the means to pay to have it on lock. So, and for him to be paying $50,000 for hotel surveillance videos back then, like that would have already been on TMZ while he was trying to cut the check. It'd be like breaking news. He'd be like,
right. That's crazy. So let me ask you this: are you done with Puff?
oh, for sure. For me personally, that had a lot of that brought up some stuff. Actually, I was telling my friend who's here today that I told her some stuff that I realized I had never told anybody or even talked about in counseling because we were talking about like how hard it was for her to get away and how she just kept staying and doing these things. And of course, part of it is because she's young, but another part of it is like sometimes when you like in the thick of it, you really just can't see like a way out of it. And so like the first dude that raped me in high school, he told me if I messed with anybody else, he would kill me. And I knew he had a gun and stuff. So I believed him, of course. And plus I was 16. So I was like, definitely believed him. And then so when I went off to Mizzou, actually, he was like, I had to write him every single day from school. So I sit down, I'm writing this letter, And all of a sudden, I have this epiphany that if I send this letter, then he's going to have my address and then he can find me. But if I don't send the letter, then he won't have my address. And it was like, why was that so hard for me to have that epiphany, to have that thought process that I don't have to write this person a letter every single day from college talking about whatever I was about to be talking about. But it's just like, it's hard when you're in it to see outside of it. And so it's just like to know that she's in like this public eye and really worried about him, not just hurting her, but hurting her family. And I mean, if he's blowing up cars, he can definitely touch her family and they'll be like, oh, it's such a tragedy. And then she's got nobody. And then she's going to be blaming herself. And yeah. And then so for her to, check herself into rehab and get help and do all that other stuff and to really have turned herself around now is to see the difference in who she is now and who she was before. Not that we know her, but just who her public persona is. You realize you never really heard her speak when she was with Puff. Like she never smiled, she never spoke, she never really did anything. And to see that he had control of like baby every aspect of her life and that she was afraid not just for her life, but for her family and her friends and stuff. Like you got friends getting hung over balconies and assaulted and paid off, and then they never speak to you again. That's how abusers are. They just whittle your circle down to zero till you don't have anybody
Yeah.
because people don't want to deal with that. I don't want to come over there and potentially get assaulted just because I'm friends with you. I don't have to deal with that. So I have
Saw
kids.
that happen to her friend, and what tripped me out was Puff paid the friend, but Cassie paid her too.
Yeah.
Like I was like, what? Yeah, that was.
But
I
he
thought
probably
something
felt
was,
bad for the friend.
huh?
He probably felt bad for the friend and was just trying to make amends, trying to hold on to the friendship. And the old girl was like, I'm gonna take your money, but we over with.
I thought it was suspicious when Kim Porter died
A lot of people did.
and Puff's reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to say he was still with Cassie or they had just broke up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure because I'm not really tracking his relationships like that. But I
Mm-hmm.
knew that he was with her for years. But as soon as Kim died, he was all, I love you, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just all
Soulmates.
over the top about, I'm so sorry, baby, forever. And then all of his shows, he's shouting her out and all this stuff. And it made me think, like, people always say in the Black community, you can always tell whoever ain't right with somebody when they die. It's always the motherfucker who trying to jump in the casket, who
Yeah.
got something on their heart. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't do right by that person. So they're like, oh no, don't take my mama, and trying to do all the theatrical stuff because they wasn't doing right by them, or they had some stuff that was going on that they didn't resolve. And that's almost what it makes it seem like. And I was like, well, damn, you with this girl after Kim, but you all this, you was my baby, you was my soulmate. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
well, damn, how does that make Cassie feel? And then now I think about it, Cassie probably like, yeah, go back to her. Don't give me no attention. I don't want the type of attention you giving me.
No, she was probably like, she probably knew that maybe something happened because a lot of people were saying Kim was about to start talking.
They say that everybody who's about to write a book ends up gone. So when they talk about Andre Harrell, Hev, Kim, they said Al B was going to be doing a documentary. They said everybody who was about to tell something, that's where the whole conspiracy, Puff was taking these folks out. That, to me, I'm like,
I feel like he could kill the project without, I mean, like people
killing the
be,
person.
yeah, but at the
He
same
don't come
time,
off. He got anger issues
yeah, but
for
he don't come off
sure.
as sinister.
But he
But
don't come out. He don't come out. No, he's sinister. He just
mhm.
don't come off as no gangster to me. And maybe with money, he has influence to make gangsters do gangster shit. But I don't see that. Puff's almost seems like a cornball to me.
Yes, but it be the cornballs who trying to look gangster to do the craziest, dumbest stuff. Like them, the ones that'll do stuff that don't make sense. The real gangsters only do stuff when they have to further the agenda. Whatever furthering the agenda means, that's what they're going to do. That's business. That's not personal. People who do wild and crazy stuff that don't make no sense. That's the cornballs just like this, especially a cornball that's got money and power, think he can play with people's lives just because he can. That's exactly what somebody like him would do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I admit I was suspicious. But after reading the document, I'm like, nah, this sounds too damning. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
ask you this, devil's advocate. Do you think there's another side to the story? Do you think Puff is being treated unfairly in any way? Because we only have her side. We don't have his side.
Right, but I mean, I think that there could be another side to the story and he still be treated fairly. So, I mean, of course, playing devil's advocate, he gonna come out and be like, "Well, we was all high. I don't really remember doing all this or doing all that." But these are excuses because the tendencies and the behavior stem from somewhere and stem from something else. But of course, he's gonna come back and say the drugs and the alcohol were the problem, and now he's clean and he's brother love and he's somebody different now and he's grown up and calmed down. But no, it's not about who you are now. Sometimes you gotta suffer the consequences of your actions. And like I said, if he was a different person, if he was a better person, he'd have paid her and we would have never heard about it.
Do you
But he wanted to play chicken and he lost.
do you think settling like that is an admission of guilt?
Yes. Because even if I thought I would lose in court, I would have still held out to defend myself in the court of public opinion, knowing that this document is going to destroy you in the court of public opinion. So he lost twice now. He could have won by just paying her and making her shut up and go away. She could have signed a nice little NDA just like everybody else. Because once you settle, you really can't talk about the details of the settlement. So he could have been like, have that complaint or whatever you got. You can't discuss it with anybody. It can't see the light of day, or you got to give me my money back. So the fact that he let it come out just tells me that he's exactly who she said he is. He's a monster, and he just thinks that he thought at least that he couldn't be touched, and he probably really didn't think she was going to go through with it because he probably thought that he had her so brainwashed and so controlled that you know what I mean. She wasn't going to do anything to hurt him, but she found herself, and he just lost himself. So
Are you gonna judge me if I still jammed all about the Benjamins?
nah, like I said, I like, of course, I think R. Kelly is a perv and ridiculous and right where he needs to be. Diddy, sinister, terrible person. He's gonna be going through it, whatever. But I'm not about to be sitting here DJing off of celebrity behaviors. In my mind, they're all off. Anybody who wants to be sitting in the public eye all the time and have every single person know all their business all the time, you have to be a little off in the head. So I just assume they're all a little crazy. And so just because we find out a little bit of crazy here, a little bit of crazy there, I'm not surprised because I just assume they're weirdos and crazy. And so I'm not DJing based off of who they are as a person. I'm listening to the music. And a lot of times, especially for Black people, we bond over music. We have music that, creates memories that we use to, revisit certain songs I play when I'm missing my dad or whatever. I don't care what them people do. I'm gonna play that song and I'm gonna think about my daddy or whatever it is that I'm doing. Or even, how, Black folks always talking about cleaning up on Sunday, they mama play whatever gospel or whatever music. Some them people do some stuff. I don't care. I'm going to still turn on Patti LaBelle radio and clean or whatever it is I'm going to do. So I don't DJ based off of these people's personal lives. I DJ based off the music. Hi, I'm Marika Moore, and if you want to get all up in my business, you should check out my new book, Unsolicited Marriage Advice, where I provide an analysis of the best marriage advice that I've received over the past 16 years or so. So head on over to Amazon and buy it now.
So, one last thing before we go. Did you read anything in the complaint? Now, we know like the statute of limitations criminal has passed, at least in New York. I don't know about California or with other places where this stuff happened. I'm assuming it probably passed there too. Do you think that there is any way that we'll see some actual criminal legal actions taken towards Puff?
So that's an interesting question because, and I don't know the
For those of
statute.
y'all don't know, Arika is the resident attorney on the show, so that's why I'm asking her.
So the thing about it is, with New York and California are very progressive with their laws, so they have very unique legal systems, and that's why they have some of the hardest bars to take and pass. So you really can't speak for one of them and speak for both of them in the same breath anyway. But the reason why we have statute of limitations is because if you come to me and say I did something from 10 years ago where I could have proven myself innocent, had it not been 10 years ago. Like I could have had receipts or could have had a phone or picture or something like that. But now I don't have it anymore. So now you just get to win because you waited until until I lost the evidence because it's been so long. So the basically it's to give fairness to the defendant to be able to defend themselves in a case. However, with that being said, the fact that they focused on sex trafficking laws and the fact that it's in two different states, that means that that could be federal. If they're talking about once you go to more than one state, that could be federal. And the feds play by totally different rules. So I don't know the answer to that question.
And that's how they got Robert. You
Yeah.
remember, because they got Robert on the RICO, and I was like, well, I can get Robert on the RICO, and it's because of the sex laws.
Yeah.
Sex laws, and they got him on RICO because of that. You know,
Mhm.
and boy, when I'm reading about him hiring these dudes and pumping this girl, allegedly pumping this girl full of drugs to have sex with these dudes in front of him, I'm just like, bruh. And you in your 40s, this girl in her 20s, and you doing that, bro. You was a piece of shit.
And punch her in the face during my thing is if you bought one prostitute, why not buy two? Why do I gotta be involved?
Right.
Why can't you just go off and do that? And then like
Why you
having
gotta
his
degrade me?
her birthday party and stuff like that.
But like you said though,
It's
it's
power.
it's about the power.
Yeah.
If you
And we
hired a
can
prostitute, if you hired two prostitutes to have sex in front of you, hey, that's what they do.
yeah, they signed up for that. They're okay
Hey,
with it.
if she's selling her body, he's selling his body, or whatever. Guess what? It's a
Mhm.
transaction, fair exchange. No harm, no foul. Now they
Start
may
a porn company. Be the director. You could
right.
be
They might feel bad when they get home, but listen, they got their money. You are degrading her.
Mhm.
That's
Intention.
degradation. She up here trying to delete the videos, and you up here letting her know, I can get those videos back. We're gonna sit on this plane and watch you fucking this dude.
Right.
Come on now.
This torture. Basically tortured her for a decade. She grew up under this man's thumb or became a grown woman under this man's thumb.
And you look back at the pictures, she's a very beautiful woman.
He is
And
was young.
you don't see her smiling.
Talk, breathe.
I don't remember none of her music.
I got Me and You when she was dancing in the mirror in the ballet studio. That was her biggest hit.
I don't remember at all. No, all I remember is her shaving her head.
Right.
And according to Young Jock, there was a story about that. How Puff was like, "We seen this white girl with her hair shaved. Hey, you gonna shave your head?" And it looked good on her because she's a beautiful woman. But like, it goes back to that control, which and my thing is, Puff, you out here and you partying. And life's to be lived. Life's to be lived, right? I enjoy life. I travel. I'm not tripping, but when you got kids, you got young adult kids, you got young teenage daughters, and you still out here you with young Miami. I don't know how young Miami, how old she is, but she can't be too much older than them boys, right?
Yeah.
And you had a baby on her,
Yeah. And
even
then
though
the
y'all
one girl said he kicked her in the stomach and all that other stuff. And then I guess the people said no one believed her, his other girlfriend.
current girlfriend.
There's a video to resurface. She looks like a little maybe Asian girl or something. And she was talking about how Diddy kicked her in the stomach and kicked her down the stairs or something. And it was like a resurface video. People's like, oh, you didn't believe her when she said Diddy was doing all this, but now Cassie say it, now everybody believe it. I was just like, I ain't even hear that story. But like you said, I don't think we really follow celebrity news like that. But
Okay. Let's and I had this argument with some sisters on Sunday.
okay.
Meg the Stallion.
Mm-hmm.
Folks didn't believe Meg. I believed her. Folks didn't want to believe Meg, but we believe Cassie.
Mm-hmm.
Now it goes back to us believing black women, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is it colorism involved as to why, or is it because folks dislike Puffy already? So it's easier just to go ahead and believe what the story was.
I think that that's one of those things that the answer really has to be multifaceted because it's too dynamic. Because yes, people hate Diddy. So yes, they were probably leaning towards going against him. Yes, colorism, Cassie's light skin and all, close
Half
to white.
Mexican, yeah,
Yeah,
all
she's
that.
white and something. And so it's like, of course, she's this little thing we got to protect. And then the other thing that I think that people don't really talk about with Megan is the fact that she's not a small woman. And so the fact that
Okay,
she's
yeah,
tall and bigger, you just be like, I think that some people have it in their minds when a person is bigger that they should
especially
be
a
able
lot
to
of these little
protect
punk
them.
ass dudes. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And then so it's like, and then she be
yeah. And I'm
talking
calling y'all some punk ass dudes for real. I am.
she be, talking her cash shit and then like, living her life. And then, but I think to a certain extent, there may be some men or even women that already kind of took issue with her too for their own,
Well, I
issues
think
with themselves, that self-hate.
when
But
she went on Gayle King and she lied about having a relationship with that boy. I
mm,
think that played a piece in it. But I would say this, and then if we go ahead and wrap it up, there was a lot of sisters that were a part of that.
mm,
I remember saying, "Hey, listen, F Tory, send him to jail and send him back to Canada." There was a whole lot of black women who were against Meg the Stallion. They
mm,
were. They got amnesia now. Oh no, no, I wasn't that way. Yes, you were.
mm,
Yes, you were. But Cassie puts it out, and that's why I asked the question. I was like, you know what? Because of Puffy's track record, his history, we saw how he treated those groups on making the band. So he
mm.
has somewhat of a sadist quality to him,
Pop-
making them walk 13 miles to get them a piece of that nasty cheesecake. I went to New York and I went to Junior's and I was just like, all of this? You made all this big over some Junior's cheesecake and it ain't even that good. You could have gave that spotlight to a black business. I
For
thought
sure.
I could have sworn Junior's was black owned. It ain't even black owned.
He don't care about that. He don't care about us.
So when you up here and you make these people walk 13 miles one way and back in NYC, that shows that you got a little bit, there's some haziness, a little bit of sadist. You were somewhat of a sadist, right?
Mhm.
So it's not much of a stretch to see that you would do that to this girl by dominating her and degrading her in this way.
Mhm.
But I,
I think for myself, I'm a little predisposed, obviously, for personal reasons to agree or to believe victims of sexual assault. So I try to keep that in mind and not participate in these conversations and stuff like that when it happens. And I think, like you said, with Megan, it was so much controversy around what really happened that people was just like taking sides as opposed to being like, well, maybe she was just lying to protect him at first, but now she's telling her truth and stuff like that. It was like, well, why would you lie to protect this little tiny dude if y'all weren't going together? Okay, now y'all was going together. Okay, now it was him. And
yeah,
I'm like, the fact that this dude shot her, like,
yeah.
I don't know. That still blows my mind.
I think that what happened was this. I don't think Meg was a good friend. I did think she did do some underhanded stuff, like some petty stuff that sometimes women do to one another.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, that does not mean that she deserved to be shot at. And even if he didn't necessarily shoot her, I think he did, but we don't really know. It doesn't mean that she deserved to be intimidated, have a pistol pulled on her, or anything like that.
Or publicly crucified, basically.
Right. So, and I
And
think
knowing that
people,
girl don't have a family, don't have parents, and you just out here just internet bullying her. That's why like people who subject themselves to the public eye, they're just different to me because ain't no way I'd have been on the internet every day arguing with folks. Man, where is your address?
but but that's part of it, though. I mean, that when notoriety becomes, there's always a gift and there's always a curse. There's always the
It's all hurts to
listen,
me. Leave
we,
me
we
alone.
we got this podcast, right? And we
Yeah.
keep saying, hey, we're putting out good content, we're putting out good quality, we're gonna blow up. But with that will come a downside as well. We know we already see it. We see
Mm-hmm.
it, when we put out our opinions or what have you, and then our opinions. Sometimes people don't, especially me. You know me. I look. I get a lot of criticism and people targeting me more so than anybody on the show, right? That just comes with it.
Yeah.
That comes with it. So you can't let that rule your thoughts or your aspirations. But anyway, I think we talked about it enough. Shout out to Cassie. Hope you put some of that money in the Black community. But you got that white husband. I don't think you are. But anyway, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at manlistenshow. Subscribe to the show on YouTube. Make sure you let everybody know about the show. Hey, we need to get to at least 500 people following the show on YouTube before the end of the year. We're at 385 right now. So 115 people. Hopefully, this show right here blows up. People want our opinion on this topic. We want you to just follow the show. Tell your friends about it, and go get some merch. Help us, continue to support the show. Buy some of the merch, and we'll holler at you next time. Peace.
Peace.
Shout out to See and Laugh.